So one of the biggest surprises about the Punisher One Last Kill isn't the violence, the emotional direction, or even Frank Castle's MCU future. It's how short the entire project actually is. The Marvel special presentation clocks in at just 48 minutes total, with the actual story ending closer to the 45-minute marks once credits are removed. That make it shorter than many individual episodes from recent Disney Plus Marvel show, which initially felt strange considering how long fans waited for John Berthel's Punisher to headline his own MCU project again. But once you look at what One Last Kill is actually trying to accomplish, the shorter runtime starts making a lot more sense. Unlike a full Disney Plus season designed to juggle multiple storylines, side characters, and larger MCU setup, One Last Kill operates more like a focused psychological chapter centered entirely on Frank Castle's state of mind. The special isn't trying to introduce a massive new mythology or completely reinvent the character. Instead, it serves as a bridge between Frank's Netflix era history, his appearance in Daredevil Born Again, and his upcoming role in Spider Man Brand New Day. The story itself is structurally very simple. The first half establishes Frank's mental and emotional condition, showing him haunted by hallucination of his family, former allies, and the violence that has defined his life. The second half pushes him into a direct conflict that forces him to decide what kind of man he is going to be moving forward. There aren't multiple subplots running simultaneously, huge ensembles, cast dynamics, or universe wide stakes. It's essentially one tightly focused character study. That smaller scope is also directly tied to the Marvel special presentation format itself. So far, Marvel Studios has only produced a handful of these projects, including Werewolf by Night and the Guardians of Galaxy Holiday Special. Unlike traditional MCU films or Disney Plus show, these special are designed to tell compact, self-contained stories that focus intensely on a single character, team, or specific event without requiring enormous franchise baggage. Werewolf by Night worked because it functioned like a classic monster movie tribute instead of trying to become a 6-hour series. The Guardians Holiday Special focused almost entirely on emotional character moments between the Guardians before Volume 3. One Last Kill follows the same philosophy by narrowing everything down to Frank Castle's emotional collapse and eventual acceptance of who he truly is. Another reason the shorter runtime work is because the Punisher already has years of established character development behind him. Frank Castle isn't been introduced from scratch the way characters often are in new MCU shows. Audiences already understand his trauma, military background, relationship with violence, and the murder of his family thanks to Netflix Daredevil and the Punisher series. Because of that, One Last Kill doesn't need to spend time re explaining who Frank is. Instead, it can immediately dive into the consequences of everything he's experienced. The special trust viewers to already know the emotional baggage Frank carries, which allows the story to move quickly without feeling incomplete. The shorter format also helps preserve the project's intensity. Frank Castle stories generally work best when they feel relentless and emotionally heavy. Stretching this particular narrative across 6 episodes may actually have weakened its impact. By keeping the runtime tight, the special maintains a constant sense of emotional pressure, never really giving Frank or the audience much room to breathe. And despite the condensed length, the project still accomplishes several important things for the wider MCU. It officially re-establishes Frank as an active street-level vigilante, introduces Ma Nuki as a potential long-term enemy, reconnects him emotionally with characters like Karen Page and Curtis Hoyle, and most importantly, position him for Spider-Man Brand New Day. That upcoming film may actually be one of the biggest reason Marvel choose the special presentation format instead of launching a full Punisher season immediately. One Last Kill essentially functions as a character reset and an emotional update before Frank steps into a much larger MCU spotlight alongside Peter Parker. Marvel didn't necessarily need 6 episodes to achieve that goal, they just needed a strong, focused story that clarified where Frank is mentally and emotionally at this stage of his life. The result is a project that feels more like an intense graphic novel issue brought directly to screen rather than traditional streaming service. It's compact, brutal, emotionally driven, and extremely centered on one man's internal struggle. And based on the early reaction, that focused approach may actually be exactly why the Punisher One Last Kill works so well, despite its surprisingly short time. Thank you for watching. Bye.